Welcome back. Oh wow, my hand disappeared. Welcome back to Chiefs fans before we were cool.
Welcome, welcome. It's been yeah, that was a game.
By definition,
How
in fact, it was.
I cannot be denied. So A plus analysis here. How
Yep.
about so for you, was that a game, game, uh, game, or a game?
It was a game. It was a game.
It was a game.
I mean, it feels like it's impossible for a Chiefs game to not be at least a little stressful now. But as far as, you know, I don't take a huge amount of stock in close games against division rivals as being like a huge indication of how you're doing as a team. Um, you know, the Steelers lost to the Browns and then outscored the Bengals, right? So
Yeah.
things happen in division games. They're weird. You know that those teams know each other better than other teams. So it was a game. What are your thoughts?
It's like a game. I think there's some pretty serious issues that it showed. So I was mostly just like every time I'm actually in Kansas, the games are always bad. And so
Stop going.
I was gonna not be allowed to go back to Kansas to watch during any Chiefs game, forever.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we are able to still win.
Yeah.
Um, no, I mean I didn't like it. I mean, also the Raiders are just annoying, but
Yeah.
it's
Our
good that we won.
secondary struggled. I still think I don't like he's a good player, but I don't like Crosby. Like just the little extra jabs he does and things. I'm like, it's not people like he's just being a competitor. I was like, no, he's just being a jerk. It just like,
Yeah.
it's like not like he's trying to actively injure people, but just like trying to, create a little extra soreness or whatever it is. It's just like I don't like it.
Mm,
Like
I don't like it. But guess what, Joel? He doesn't like you either because you're a
that's
Chiefs
true.
fan.
That's true. Do you know what he
And
else
also
doesn't
not
like?
very cool, maybe.
He also doesn't like having Super Bowl rings. So
Yeah. Yeah. Who's the player? Devontae Adams, who like didn't really consider the Chiefs
oh
or
no,
different players.
Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs, that's right.
Yeah.
Josh
Yeah.
Jacobs.
He was
It's
like,
like it's just too hard when you've been a Raider. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Whatever, man. Don't like
Yeah.
rings. Don't like
No.
the bling. Yeah, no, I mean, it's good that we're like record wise. I think that's pretty important, even if the issues were real issues in the game. So,
Yeah. Yeah, our
I hope
secondary is
we,
having problems, but it seems like they're trying to find the right combination of starters a little bit.
yeah,
But
no, that's true. I'm actually more worried about our offensive line.
mm, yeah.
Um, so, we did just get some reinforcements, but it seems like Wande Morris in the last two games, just like has been bad. Like anytime you're kicking your all pro left guard out to left tackle, like it just shows that you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So I think our offensive line has been bad. I'm happy to see how Mahomes has been playing. He
Hmm.
looks really good.
Yeah.
And having Hopkins, it seems like they're not playing Hopkins enough, but I understand trying to save him and keep him from getting injuries. He's older and he's dealt with a lot of injuries at this point in his career. So
Yeah.
I don't mind it too much, but I
As
think
long as
overall,
they're still gonna crank that up during the playoffs, I hope. Like,
yeah. Yeah, and our defense usually gets better during the playoffs. I hope we're not
yeah.
stuck in a really bad spot. We just don't have the pieces, which
Yeah.
we lost our Jalen Watson and we lost obviously L'Jarius Sneed from last year.
Yeah.
Trent
Honestly
McDuffie
though,
seems to find himself on the wrong end of certain plays as an outside corner, whereas he just never had that as the slot corner, primarily
yeah.
slot corner.
Yeah. I don't know, like though, like Orlando Brown, I don't know, is that he's like, obviously he did really well for us the season was here. I don't know that he's been playing super well for the Bengals either. So it's like, I don't know that the moves we made were necessarily worse than keeping someone, but obviously we need different than what we have, you know?
Hmm. Has Orlando Brown Jr. been? I'm just totally just kind of looking at that.
All I know is mostly from listening to a couple games or watching a couple. I think on this week he got blown by and it led to
Yeah,
a sack fumble that was returned for a touchdown. Like,
yeah. Looks like his ranking off of PFF, which is, you know, is what it is. It's not a perfect thing. It looks like his run blocking grade has been really bad, which is weird because that's what he was better at.
hmm,
And his pass blocking grade's pretty average. So,
hmm,
um,
yeah,
not that
interesting.
great. I mean, he got a lot of chips when he played with us.
Yeah,
So, and we don't chip as much, even for like one day and when they're getting beat, we don't play that way right now. But
yeah,
so maybe that should be a direction we take, but I don't know. Like
yeah,
you're right. I don't think Orlando Brown Jr. was the answer. I still
yeah,
don't really like our contract um to Jawan Taylor.
yeah, mhm,
And obviously our rookies, which it's just so hard with tackles. So
yeah.
I'm not giving up on Sumimanatia or uh Suamatatia Suamataia or
Onomatopoeia.
Onomatopoeia or or Wanya Morris. Like I think Wanya Morris is a great swing tackle guard, whatever.
Yeah,
Like it's just not the guy you want to be a starter. So hopefully our tackle signing, yeah. Um PJ Humphreys. Oh my,
yeah,
it's one of those days where I can't remember any of our players' names.
yeah,
He works out. It sounds like from the interviews they're hoping he can play, and currently that's what the chief staff kind of sees as their answer for this year.
yeah,
Left tackle is hopefully this Mr. Humphreys. So
yeah,
we'll see how that works out. Um,
yep,
yeah,
yeah. Hopefully so. Because it was definitely not the prettiest game. And
yeah.
should we talk about the final real play for a Neil? No, we shouldn't talk about it.
I don't know. That'd be so funny if we went through the whole podcast and never talked about that.
Hey, we could really
We could throw
circumvent
everybody for a loop.
expectations, you know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. If we don't, we're expect the unexpected on the
mm,
Chiefs fans before we record podcast.
yeah,
Well, just because I'm feeling a little ornery, let's talk about other things before that.
sounds
Um,
good.
yeah. So, what do you want to talk about? That's not that
Well, do you have any brother wonders for us to wonder about?
for the readers. Yeah, actually, I forgot to remind the brother to wonder.
Oh,
So I don't know whose fault that is. I guess it's mine because I do the podcast. So
but maybe he's
uh,
always wondering. He needs to be reminded to record his wanderings down for you.
that's true. And send him over.
So,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
um,
I did watch it with him. So maybe like I can just kind of like mind meld his wonderings into questions.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about the offense? Feel better?
I mean, yeah, I
Okay.
think like the Raiders pass rush is no joke, right?
Yeah.
I felt like we um our run game was lacking, but I will say while Hunt is a really good power rusher, right?
Yeah.
Um Pacheco showed us why he is the guy, right? Like he's like
Hmm.
because like Hunt, he breaks through. He could get, but Pacheco's got the speed and agility that if he breaks through, it could be a huge play, you
Yeah.
know. And so that was kind of um, the good reminder for us on
Yeah,
what Pacheco offers that Hunt doesn't offer anymore. I
right.
think Hunt did, at one point,
Mhm,
but
of course.
so I have a question for you.
Yep.
In the we can do the AFC maybe, and then we could do the NFC. So is it
Okay.
7 teams make the playoffs, or is it 8 right now? I can't remember.
Correct. 7.
7
Mhm.
of the in the hunt teams, or the teams that are towards the
Okay.
bottom. And I could tell you what those are if you don't have it pulled up. But which team would you be surprised if they make it, and which team would you be not surprised if they make it?
Well, I would say the Bengals, right?
Yeah,
'Cause they have
it's
like a
funny that they show up in the hunt stats on games, because technically it's
they got
true, but that would be
because they got like 1% chance.
yeah.
Um, yeah, man, I, I'm actually, this is not really the question. It's kind of the opposite of the question, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins just made it happen.
Yeah.
Um, so, I wouldn't be surprised if they made it happen. Now, the Broncos seem in a pretty strong lead there, but um, I think they could sneak it out, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and it's
so
completely possible too that the the Broncos make it and the Chargers don't, and the Dolphins do, because they're so close
mhm,
to it. They're tied in record right now. Um,
yeah, yeah.
the
Yeah. So
Chargers have one.
Broncos, the Chargers are kind of like they also have the 8-4. Well, they have one less loss, so
Yeah.
there's a few of those.
So that December 19th matchup between the Broncos and the Chargers is pretty important for playoff picture.
Oh, yeah.
So
I forget that yeah, so they do face each other. So there's at least one more loss that one of those teams gets.
or a
At this point,
tie.
oh, they could tie.
They could tie.
I just think now you just make me think of that Chargers Raiders game where they could have tied. Brandon Staley could have tied, and they both went to the playoffs, and he
Yeah.
decided to go for it, and then the Raiders got mad and then beat the Chargers, and the Chargers didn't get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Um, that's a good old-fashioned AFC
Yeah.
rivalry game option. So
Yeah.
that'd be funny if that was an option again, and then the new Jim Harbaugh does the same thing.
Yeah.
And somehow the Chargers, who are looking really good with their defense and everything, just implode.
Yeah.
That would be pretty
That would
fantastic.
be pretty fantastic.
Um, yeah, no, yeah, yeah. I think as far as that, so that's AFC. Um,
Yep.
the NFC bubble teams, man,
It seems
you
to me, and
it seems like the ones there and the surprising ones are the ones currently in it, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
Commanders would be surprising, but they have a good they have a good spot for it.
yeah,
Um, whereas I think the Niners are done. I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams pulled off the improbable and came in
yeah.
and got a spot.
If they weren't down so many receivers, the Bucks, you'd feel like have a good shot. But
Yeah, their defense is also super suspect, at least in terms of like pass defense and stuff. So
do
I don't know.
you think McCaffrey's going to play again?
Yeah, he's
Like,
gonna play again,
I mean,
but
like,
not this year.
I'm not this year, but I'm just saying, like, man, I mean, I think he will too. But it's like something to be said about, like, came back from an
Retiring.
injury, rehabbing so hard to get back, and was great, but then, like, you know,
Yeah,
but
be pretty crazy, man.
yeah,
But I mean, it would make sense for him to retire. But I think the main thing is he hasn't won a Super Bowl.
yeah,
So I think he'd still, as long as he's with a team that's really good, he might stick it out another year or two, see if they can get to get win get
Do you
that
feel
Super
like
Bowl
there's a
win.
team that has any more Super Bowl whiplash than the 49ers right now? Where like they're there, they're up by 10 points, lose the Super Bowl, and then like implode the next like year, you know? Like,
Yeah, I mean, they had some serious injuries. I
yeah.
think Trent Williams was pretty banged up throughout the year, so I don't view it so much as that they were just bad. I think they just had too many injuries to key players.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean,
Lost Brandon Ayuk. I mean, he wasn't doing that good before, but
I
yeah,
agree with you for the most part because also it's like the players you're used to playing with, but it's also like at the same time, okay, so obviously Patrick Mahomes is better than Brock Purdy, but say at the same time though, they are more stacked on a roster than almost any other team. And even being down their top two receivers, it's like
yeah.
we would any of their receivers that were left would be like, great, come play for us, right?
Come
Like,
Juwan Jennings.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like that. Like even when they're down, they're a pretty stacked team as far as their roster strength. But I guess you could
Yeah.
also say like if you're used to having Christian McCaffrey run, anybody else is a downgrade, right? So
Yeah. And like Jordan Mason did fine. I think the Trent Williams is a big deal.
yeah,
Um, and then Brock Purdy he didn't do he kind of struggled for a little bit. So it was just maybe a perfect storm of that and their matches. It probably didn't help they were facing the like playing the Bills in the snowstorm
yeah.
as a California
I don't think
team.
they get a
That's
lot of that in San Francisco.
no, no, probably not. So yeah, those are some good thoughts. But let's talk about that last play
All
for
right.
the Raiders.
For the Raiders, right?
Yeah, the time I would say this, if somebody wanted to say the NFL was scripted, like this is the time. That's the game. Like
Hmm.
I don't know, like
Yeah.
that's kind of crazy.
And I've looked into this a lot from various sources since then, not about the actual fumble itself, but the controversy with it. And this is what I found. You could tell me if whether this is what you're hearing too. Is one is if you watch a replay, one ref does signal false start and another ref signals illegal shift. Uh, and I think that the difference is by rule that
Yep,
it would be a false start if the game clock was running,
yep.
but because the game clock was stopped, it is an illegal shift. A legal shift is something that can be declined. False start is an automatic penalty. And so,
Mhm.
though it was like, look, they changed a false start just to help the Chiefs win. No, that one ref was wrong just because the clock had been stopped because they spiked the ball the previous play.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. That was kind of weird. And then the whole yeah, I think the thing that makes it frustrating for Raiders is that I believe the ref that called false start blew the whistle, like was blowing the play
yeah,
dead. Um, and that's got to be kind of frustrating in the sense of like, wait, it was dead, but it wasn't dead, because of
yeah,
that. So, but they had to make a decision at that point, right? Because they messed up. Like somebody messed up, somebody didn't, right? Somebody knew what they needed to call in that situation. Um, I was a little surprised I mean, I guess they were just trying to get 5 more yards or something. They
yeah,
had missed a couple kicks, so.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Raiders played good enough to beat us, kind of like the Broncos did a few weeks
Mhm.
ago. Like, I don't. I was really discouraged in that way with the game. I know it's a division rival. And it's the second time we played them this year, but um, that's
I just feel like,
that we gotta. Yeah, I think the tackle situation is what we got to figure out. I think the defense not doing like being locked down is fine as
mhm,
long as we can protect Patrick Mahomes. Like the only time we couldn't fix it was the Super Bowl, the Tampa Super Bowl, right?
yeah,
When our tackle play was really bad.
yeah. Well, and to your point, like the defense has been giving up a lot of plays and a lot of yards, but they've actually been pretty good in the red zone, and they forced a lot of field goals or
Right.
field goal attempts. I do agree with you. Obviously the Raiders probably were trying to get extra yards because they weren't feeling very confident in their kicker at that point.
Yeah.
I was surprised that they they took as long as they did to spike the ball, or that they didn't take more, because I'm surprised in a sense that they didn't just kick the field goal from there. Because
Yeah.
sure, you like they had 14 seconds, I think, when the play started, but you very could have easily ended up in a situation like the Bears did. Like if they throw it to somebody and that person can't make it out of bounds, or
Right.
somebody's open but they can't get to the end zone. Like if you're not really disciplined on that play, you're out of
It's
timeouts, and you might like. I'm surprised that they didn't just try to kick the field goal, to be honest.
right. Yeah, I mean, I would say that. I mean, it's like maybe they're that scared of the 11 seconds. Like, I
Triggered.
don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess you could ask Bills fans about that, but
yeah.
um, yeah, yeah, it's kind of crazy, but
Mhm.
it was a win, and I said, like functionally, it's really helpful in securing the bye
Yeah,
because now, especially with Buffalo tearing it up like it has been with a really easy end of year schedule, like, oof, we'll see kind of how that all plays out, but we kind of need them to lose to like Detroit or someone,
yeah,
um, just to give us a little bit more flex because I don't see us winning out. I mean, we're playing Pittsburgh, the Broncos and the Chargers have been better, so we kind of need at least one more loss, and then we get the bye there.
yeah,
Although it might work out kind of like last year, where we didn't get the bye, but we ran into a situation where it didn't matter. The last game didn't matter,
yeah,
so that could be somewhat helpful too. Not ideal. I mean, ideally you would get both those. Like the last game doesn't matter and the bye. But I think
yeah,
with the way Buffalo's playing in their schedule, I don't think that's going to happen.
yeah, yeah. I think you're right. Um, Buffalo looks really good right now. Lions look really good right now, but it's all that matters is getting to the postseason. And it's kind of funny because I feel like this season's a little bit the opposite of last season, where this season we've won a games that we definitely should have lost. As last
Yeah.
season, I feel like we lost a bunch of games we should have won. Like
Yep.
you shouldn't hit a receiver in the hands and somehow that's a pick six, things like that. Like,
Hmm.
oh, still some trauma from that. But I would I guess I can drop it. I can drop that because TK dropped it all the time. So uh I mean
Yeah.
KT, sorry. Oof.
KT.
Any-
Yeah. DK is a different person. I was like, did he drop a lot? I
Yeah.
was trying to think. He has a lot of drops. He's pretty crazy. Yeah, like KT, man, just stuff like that. So we're not really that way with the receivers. I'm really excited to see Marquise Brown potentially the end of December.
Yeah.
At least as reports are going. Like that would be pretty cool. And his injury isn't directly to his uh legs. So it seems like it wouldn't necessarily affect his play. He might actually have fresh legs.
Hmm.
Now, he still might have to have a couple games to adjust to game speed and stuff because practice isn't the same, but like, ooh, that could
Yeah.
be really nice. You get two players like that. You get, DeAndre Hopkins work and Travis Kelce working on the inside. Like, we're good. We're good. I'm excited about that. Worthy, Brown, Hopkins, Travis Kelce.
Yeah. And I'll say I've been excited to see them worthy getting worked in a little bit more and not just on the deep
Yeah.
targets. So like I think just building up some confidence again.
Yeah, give him some practice. And
Yeah.
it seems like a lot of those mess ups were kind of like a college transition mistake, which is still a big mistake, and you're in the NFL now, but
Yeah, you need 2 feet
um,
down.
2 feet down, two, two, come on, buddy. Yeah, it's
Mm,
pretty fun. Been
yeah,
doing frisbee more, so I've been working on I only need to have 1 foot down, so for frisbee, so
that's good.
that's good. So been working on my toe taps.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's pretty fun. I mean, it's not fun. It was not a fun game. I'm tired of the close games. I wanted to beat the Raiders badly, but like we'll see. Like I said, hopefully our tackle situation improves, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking for.
Yep, we got the Chargers this week. Sunday night
DJ.
game.
Yeah, Chargers Sunday night. I'm excited for. I mean, I don't know if I mentioned that last time. Afternoon games are not good for me. Like it's the worst slot for me to watch a game,
Yeah.
personally. So I'm really excited to have it in an evening game.
Hmm.
That's what I'm excited about. So
Yeah.
let's do it that way.
Yeah. I just don't like how
Yeah.
late I have to stay up. But
Oh yeah, it's a little late for y'all, but
yeah, 11:30 is pretty late now because I'm old.
you're old,
Yeah.
old married folk.
Hmm.
Wait till you have a kid waking up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna wish you were just staying up till 11:30 and not
Mm.
waking up at 2 in the morning.
Is raising a child similar to raising a baby goat?
No.
I've done neither, but they're both kids. That's why I was wondering,
Yeah.
So
I figured you were kidding around, but
yeah, yeah.
I would just say I hate goats and I love my kid. So
You don't hate the goat though.
he's not, I cannot associate Patrick Mahomes with a goat. I don't care what
Okay.
the acronym is. Like, that's just like, it's a paradox.
Mm.
He's like, Patrick Mahomes is a goat. Yes and no,
Mm.
because you can't, like, you just start making me think of the whole Taylor Swift screaming goat song.
If there's anybody who hates goats more than you, I don't think I want to meet that person.
They're probably a pretty terrible person.
It's just like
I am at the edge. Obviously, if I went any further, I would fall into a dark, dark place.
a dark place full of screaming
Full of
goats.
goats. Full of
Man.
screaming goats.
Uh and you're just
Yeah,
like, man, I knew you were trouble when you walked in.
right. Meh. And then we do the fainting goat thing. Those are kind of cute. That's kind
Those
of funny. The
fainting
fainting
goats
goats.
are kind of fun.
I love it, but mostly I just love that a goat is fainting. So I don't know if that's,
If
wrong or
is it, go obviously talking about the greatest of all time, but is like a fainting goat the equivalent of like somebody who's on the threshold of always getting to the like Super Bowl, but it's like not there? Like, is that like
someone really good but
Lamar
not
Jackson?
clutch. Yeah, someone really good but not clutch, which I don't necessarily believe. I think like when you think of playoffs and you think of players, you're like, well, they're not clutch. I heard a podcast talk about this later, and it was this kind of analytics guy. He's like, I don't think there are clutch players, but I do think there are certain players that get freaked out, that don't do very well under high pressure. I thought that was kind of interesting distinction. Like Patrick Mahomes focuses, he does well, but he's always doing well, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I guess there's a level where he was probably trying a little more focus in a game that matters, but it's not like he has this special gene that like when it's harder, he's better.
Yeah,
It's
I agree with that in for the most part, but I do feel like in 70 years or something, maybe less, they're going to identify that Patrick Mahomes does in fact have a gene called the Mahomes gene, which just makes him better at winning than everyone else.
right. As long as it's not a goat gene.
Yeah.
As long as
So
it's not
if
called
you're
the goat
still with
gene.
us, you know that this is a Chiefs fan podcast and apparently a goat hating podcast. Although that's
Got
a
it.
little bit one-sided. I don't have I think I'm indifferent towards goats compared to Eric. So
Do you want them living next door? I'm gonna call your neighbor and say, hey, you know what would be a great idea? Get a bunch of goats.
that might be less noisy than college students living next door. So
That's probably true. College students are really just goats in disguise. So
yeah, and
the
at least
screaming
goats
goats.
at least goats mow the lawn.
At least goats mow the lawn.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's right. And poop everywhere.
Yes.
So anyway,
College students only
that,
do one of those things. Oh man.
so I guess we're goats in college student hating podcast. You want to go ahead and just bash goats and college students, like, come join us.
Come join us. We'll have you on as a
Give
guest.
us your best college kid joke or goat joke in the comments.
And it's like you don't have to tell us which it is. We can try to, people can figure it out.
Please leave it
Goat or
ambiguous.
They keep eating my 10 cans. And then I hear them, then they walk to class.
Yeah, they'll eat anything in sight.
And they're smelly.
And smell, and you can smell them from the other house, next door house. Oof. Yeah, college days were hard. I remember the day as an resident assistant where we literally had to talk to somebody about their hygiene and just explain how showers were not voluntary in society. Something you should do more than, I don't know, weekly or monthly. We weren't sure how rare they were, but they were rare. So those were pretty bad. Or like their rooms, you'd go in to talk to a person and say, "Hey, how you doing?"
Also,
and then they would go, "Meh."
Yeah. Also, Axe body spray does not a solution to smelling like a barn.
It does not solve body odor.
Oh man.
Or goat odor.
Or goat odor.
All right. Well,
I think we can all agree on one thing. This episode has been the GOAT.
No. No. The paradox continues. The GOAT paradox.
The GOAT paradox.
Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT, but resembles the GOAT in no conceivable way.
Yes.
All right. Well, I can at least cheer to Mahomes and his great play. So I hope he continues to excel and maybe gets associated with an animal more important than goats and or Kermit the Frog.
Like a platypus, maybe.
At least
or a honey badger.
We can at least say that the Kermit the Frog jokes can be put to rest because Dameon Pierce does not have a Mahomes role.
True.
Unless it is lose to Mahomes in the most embarrassing fashion.
Yeah.
I actually, in our chat, and we can end with this, I said, I'm sorry I apologize to all of you who watched that game. And somebody was like, "Oh, I didn't watch it. I went and watched Gladiator 2 instead." And I was like, well, there's probably a lot more action there. And it's fine. It's just like, I felt like if you watched as a Chiefs fan, you were sad. If you watched it as a Chiefs hater, you were more sad or angry. And if you're a Raiders fan, well, I think you're used to being sad and angry at this point. So I guess you're kind of more same old, but
it just
still not
course.
Fun.
All right.
Still not fun.
We'll see you next time.
They plateaued in college.
Like college was the GOAT, man.
I was the GOAT in college.
All right. I'll see you next time.
See you next time.